Now, when I came across this particular portion of Roland Martin's News One Now show, I absolutely had to make a video on this because this is something that I've been talking about long and hard, and I got a real problem with Hillary Clinton. And again, I'm a Sanders supporter, even though I think he didn't believe in himself, and that's why he's in the position that he's in right now. Particularly that he didn't try to get in front of black media as fast as possible. But anyway, on to this. This particular clip has to do with a Black Lives Matter protester who showed up, she and a friend, who had to pay $500 each to show up at a Clinton speech, quote unquote, fundraiser in South Carolina. So I'm going to play the clip and then I'm going to make my commentary.
As folks, last night Hillary Clinton had a fundraiser in South Carolina, and guess what happened? A Black Lives Matter protester, Ashley Williams, actually interrupted the protest, and what she did was she spoke to the issue of mass incarceration. Shelley, go to my iPad, please. So here we go. All right.
Making sure that South Carolina became the first state with 5 cameras. There's more work to be done, but you got to lay down these markers. You got to build toward common sense gun reform, criminal justice reform, and all the like. So I think we've got a very, I think we've got somebody saying here, we have to bring them to heel. Okay, we'll talk about it.
I'm not a super predator, Hillary Clinton.
Okay, fine, we'll talk about it.
Apologize to black people for mass incarceration.
Well, can I talk and then maybe you can listen to what I say? Okay, thank you very much. There's a lot of issues in this campaign. The very first speech that I gave back in April was about criminal justice reform and about
predators. You're being rude. That's not appropriate. For predators. This is not appropriate.
Yeah, you want to hear the facts and you want to talk.
I know that you called black people predators in 1994. Please explain the record. Explain it to us. You owe black people an apology.
Well, give me a chance to talk. I'll apologize. You know what? Nobody's ever asked me before. You're the first person to ask me, and I'm happy to address it, but you are the first person to ask me here. Okay, back to the issues. The issues that I think are important.
So that was at the fundraiser last night. Now, what Ashley was speaking to was a speech that Hillary Clinton gave in 1996 as First Lady, where she was talking about gangs and the impact they were having on communities and how the president's crime bill would deal with that, bringing order to communities. I want to come back to our panel here. Here's what's interesting. I've heard different people write about this, and they say she should apologize for that. But I've had other African Americans, others who say, wait a minute, these were areas that were impacted by crime, impacted by gangs. In that speech, she was specifically talking about gangs. And so, should she apologize for that super predator comment?
Yes.
Why?
She absolutely should apologize for the comment for a number. And she also...
No, I'm asking why.
She should apologize for it because at that time, the majority of the folks that were in gangs, they weren't cartel related. They weren't folks that were making all this big money. These were young African Americans. So essentially, she was calling black men super predators.
So at the time, by the time we take offense to it, by the time we had the crime bill, you had 23 members of the Congressional Black Caucus that voted for it. You had African Americans across the country who were also saying, y'all must do something about how our communities are being impacted. Well, no, but here's the deal, though. But do we make the mistake? Do we make the mistake of saying she was speaking about super predators, crime, as opposed to folks who are also locked up for nonviolent offenses? Do you put it all in the same pot, or do you say, wait a minute, there were some people who were criminals, there were some people who should not have been locked up?
See, and the answer to that question is they put everybody into the same damn pot, and that's how the prison population skyrocketed under the Clintons. So that's the answer to his question. But he made a couple of other assumptions that were erroneous that Gianno Caldwell attempted to correct him on, and I got the specific information. Let's continue.
Yes, and then here's why. The reason is if you're going to have this crime bill, because the crime bill took money out for rehabilitation services for things like GED,
Right,
job training.
the same crime bill that a significant number of Republicans voted for.
Actually, the majority was Democrats. The majority.
No, I'm sorry.
The majority were Democrats.
Were any Republicans voted for?
There were some Republicans on the bill, but the majority, I believe, is about 30 or so. But
30?
The majority,
Okay. All right.
The
Go
majority were Democrats. And that's just a fact.
No, because Democrats.
And guess what? He is absolutely right. The majority of the votes were Democrats. If you want the specific roll call on it, the Democrats voted 188 for and 188 for and 64 against the bill. The Republicans voted 46 for the bill and 131 against the bill. There was one independent that voted for the bill and 0 that voted against it. So the actual total voting for the bill was 235 yeses, 195 noes, and basically 5 abstentions. If you go to, you can confirm that for yourself. If you go to clerk.house.gov/EVS/1994/roll 416.xml, you can see this information for yourself. So Roland automatically assumed that it was a Republican bill. And in fact, this bill was a Democratic bill that was crafted in order to help Democrats in their election attempts, because Democrats were always considered soft on crime. So Clinton came out with this super tough bill to make Democrats look like they were tougher on crime than Republicans in order to maintain the Democrats in power in Congress.
But the truth of the matter is, this bill was a literal design of the prison industrial complex, providing billions of dollars. And when we look at Hillary Clinton, she's apologized in some ways for it now, but yet you were 8 years a senator and you did nothing about it. You didn't introduce any legislation to undo the harm done.
Douglas?
I think it's obvious that during those days back in the 90s when we had these crime rates that were through the roof, that, you know, I think we got it wrong. I think a lot of people on Capitol Hill got it wrong in terms of how to best deal with the issue. And I do remember Bill Clinton come out and saying that he got that wrong.
Yes, thank you. My cousin's in jail, Bill Clinton. I appreciate your apology. Thank you, Dr.
One second,
I think that you have to put her speech then in the context of what was going on back then. And I think a lot of folks got it wrong. And you know, I think that the hardest thing as an elected official to do is to admit when you're wrong and try to rectify that. And so I think that.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I applaud her, the fact that Hillary, you know, and a lot of folks. I mean, I wasn't in Congress back then, but there were lots of CBC members. We got it wrong.
By the matter of fact, that the vote was 322 to 103, and was far more than 30 Republicans.
No,
He's wrong on those numbers. I just looked the numbers up.
The bottom line is here.
Okay.
It was a Republican idea. All right, folks. It was a Republican idea. Another history-making moment for President Obama's administration.
Okay, he was wrong on those numbers. He jumped on his iPad too quick, because I did the same thing. And that the number he just quoted basically was the public law publication number. That wasn't the actual vote. And I gave you the site where you can actually see what the vote was, and you can actually see exactly who voted for it, of which Bernie Sanders is one of the yes votes. So just so that you know. But also within that bill, also so that you know, was the federal assault weapons ban, the federal death penalty act, where they created 60 new death penalty offenses, which in my mind is basically that's a civil rights situation, because more African Americans are given a death penalty than anybody else. They also eliminated inmate education. You're talking about rehabilitation, but this particular bill also had a section in it where it eliminated inmate education, i.e., receiving Pell Grants in order to go after post-secondary education, which to me is ridiculous. Okay. Also, there was money put into the bill. Approximately $1.6 billion was put into the bill through a Violence Against Women's Act. Also, minor Driver Privacy Protection Act. And then there was also a section for community-oriented policing services, where they put $14 billion in assistance to state and local law enforcement agencies to help hire community policing officers. Yeah, that was a huge success. Now, when you look up the bill, you don't see anything to do with the three strikes law. Why? Because the three strikes law was listed under other provisions. And in other provisions, they added 50 new federal offenses, and they instituted mandatory minimums, and they threw in, just for good measure, the three strikes law. They also made drug testing mandatory for those serving on federally supervised release programs. So those are the specifics on that 1994 crime bill that Hillary Clinton pushed for, that Bernie Sanders voted yes on, though he did get out on the floor, out on the House of Representatives floor, and he did rail against that portion of the bill that had to do with the three strikes law. So though you may not want to give him a pass, you can't absolutely convict him like you can convict Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, as far as pushing that law, Bill Clinton signing that law.